read from my last two books. They're short pieces. One will be from His Wife Leaves Him, which came out 3 months ago. And just to set it right, Martin Samuel's wife dies, and they have a memorial, and he goes to bed after the memorial and for the next 370 pages, except for trips to the bathroom and to the kitchen to drink filtered water. There are about 50 pages of dreams separated by ellipses soon after he goes to bed, and I'm going to read 2 or 3 of them. They're very short. Gwen is his wife. Gwen and he are in a motel room. It's stuffy, almost airless, he thinks, and he tries opening the one window, but it won't budge. He lets down the Venetian blind and snaps it shut. They don't even supply the room with a fan, he says, and the shower runs cold. What made us come here? She's lying on the bed in her pajama top, only in her pajama top, watching one of the movie channels on cable. He sits on the bed beside her and runs his hand along her thigh. Not now, she says. I want to watch this. I've seen it before. It's quite good. But the opening's terrifying. You won't want to watch it. You'll cover your eyes, and the scary sounds from it will make you want me to turn it off. You should go out, run, swim, work out in the exercise room, and get yourself a coffee. But please don't disturb me when I'm doing something I like. And she takes his hand off her thigh, slaps it playfully, and turns back to the TV. I'm sorry, he says. I thought I was being affectionate. He grabs his bathing suit, leaves the room, and goes down a dark hall, thinking he's heading for the indoor pool. The door at the end of the hall opens onto a food court of a mall. All the food stands are shuttered, except for an old-fashioned soda fountain with about 10 padded stools screwed into the floor. A soda jerk's behind the counter, dressed in a white linen jacket and cap soda jerks used to wear, and who looks just like Jeff Chandler, tall and broad-shouldered like him, and same pepper and salt hair that starts low on his forehead. Maybe it is Jeff Chandler, he thinks. After his movie career ended, he might not have been able to find any other work but this. But he doesn't want a soda, and the place doesn't seem to serve coffee or have anything to boil water for tea. He looks around because he thought he heard a couple of shutters going up and then back at the soda fountain. Gwen sitting at the counter. How'd you get here, he says. You were just in our room, less than half dressed. And what happened to the movie? You were right, she says. I was? Well, whatever I was right about, good, because that doesn't happen too often. You're saying it, am I being right? You're too hard on me. I've said it plenty, just you never want to hear it. And how'd I get here so fast? I flew. Mind if I join you? And she says, need to ask? You're the one who brings in 60% of our household income. And besides, aren't you my spouse? You get first dibs. He sits beside her. Man sitting on his right turns his way and blows smoke in his face. Did you have to, he says. And the man says, what am I doing? I'm smoking. I'm smoking. Since when is that a capital crime? He says to the man who looks like Jeff Chandler, I'm not going to refer to you as soda jerk. I find the term pejorative. I'm going to call you counterman. So, Mr. Counterman, isn't there a city ordinance against smoking in public places that serve food? There is, but we don't observe it. Bad for business, keeps customers away. Look at all those other food joints here that have closed. We're the last holdout. He moves to the other side of Gwen and says, the counterman's the spitting image of Jeff Chandler. Who's that, she says. And he says, oh, that's right, you were too young, maybe not even born. Famous movie actor when I was a kid. Used to play a lot of Indian warrior roles, and he always seemed to get gunned down by the cavalry at the end. He was Jewish, you know. You should move to the other side of me so you don't get the guy's side stream smoke. That can kill you too. I'm happy where I am. What do you have? The counterman asked her. And she says, a lime Ricky in one of those tall, chilled smoke glasses and lots of ice. And you? And he says, plain seltzer, not flavored, and no ice or anything else in it, and in any kind of clean glass. Before I bring you to anything, there's a large tab the ladies run up. Could you pay that first? How could she have run up anything, he says. She just got here. $37.55, the counterman says menacingly. Okay, if you are who I think you are, I know what you've done and what you're capable of, so I'm not going to argue with you. And what the hell? Not a lot of money. He pulls out his wallet and opens it. His credit card's gone. Oh no, he says, my worst fear. ... He's working out on one of the strength machines at the Y when Gwen comes in. He waves to her. She stops to look at him, doesn't smile or wave back, gets on an exercise bicycle, and sets a book on a holder in front of her and starts pedaling while reading. What strange behavior for her, he thinks. She looks around at him while pedaling. He smiles and mouths, "Hi, what's doing? And why didn't you say hello?" She faces forward again, pedals, looks back at him a couple more times, gets off the bike, wipes it down, and comes over with a book under her arm and stares hard at his face. "It's you," she says. "I told myself when it happened that I'd never forget your face, but here I have. Good thing you kept making yourself obvious to me. Yeah, go on, smile and wave, you filthy bastard, but I'm getting the police. Everybody, she says. Don't let this man leave here. He raped me more than a year ago and was never caught. I'm going to call the police now," and she leaves the room. She comes right back with a policeman and says, "This is the man who jimmied my kitchen window to break into my apartment and force himself on me in bed." "That's ridiculous," he says. "We live together. She's my wife." And she says, "Since when?" "I'm afraid I'll have to take you in, sir," the policeman says, and motions him off the machine, grabs his arm, and starts walking him out of the room. "Granny," says, "do you realize what you're doing and what's going to happen to me? Whatever your reason for joking around like this, it's gone too far." ... He wakes up, shakes Gwen's shoulder from behind and says, "Dostoevsky's dead." "Of course he is," she says. 1861, 1881. 1861 was when I think Notes from the House of the Dead was published, and the American Civil War was in its second year. He wasn't in it, never got to America, and I don't think he ever wanted to. Baden-Baden, gambling, that's what he liked. I've been reading his second wife's reminiscences of their 14 years together. His first wife died of TB. He also lost 2 children and a favorite brother. Jesus, what a life. A lot of what she writes about is his gentleness and thoughtfulness and empathy and compassion and his love for her, and she for him. She worshipped him. Before I fell asleep, I finished the part where Dostoevsky died. So he's dead. He's really dead. What an awful thing to consider. I doubt I'll be able to get back to sleep tonight. Do you want to hold me from behind?" she says. "Yes, that might help. Thank you." And now I'm going to read, and so those dreams go on for 50 pages. I thought I'd just read funny stuff, so I hope you'll laugh. This is the collection, What Is All This?, that came out in softcover from Fantagraphics last year, 2012. It has 62 stories in it. All of them, none of them had ever been in a book before, and I rewrote all of them, rewrote the ones that I thought were finished, and so I rewrote them so to be more finished, and I also finished the stories that were unfinished. So 62 stories in 3 volumes. I like to say this, I know I never said it before, that this book predeceases His Wife Leaves Him, if you know what I mean. The story I'm reading is Can't Win. It's a short story, a short story. Can't Win. My agent calls and says, oh, by the way, this story started as an allegorical dream and ended up as an allegorical story. Okay, my agent calls and says, meet me at the Triad Perry Publishing Company right away. I say, what's up? And she says, it's very important. Just be there as soon as you can. I'm already on my way. And she hangs up. I think, oh God, it can't be anything but good news. The annual Triad Perry $3,000 prize and publication of the manuscript in the fall. I leave the apartment, take a cab to the publishing house, and walk into the reception room. Quite a few people are sitting on couches and chairs there, and the receptionist is behind a desk, a dog sleeping on the floor near her feet. My agent comes out of an office with a man. She says, this is the managing editor, Mr. Whithead. And to him, you tell him, not me. I say, it's bad news, isn't it? And she says, depends how you look at it. Well, take it, but I'm afraid it is. He says, once more, you've been chosen as one of the runners-up in our annual short fiction award, and hands me my manuscript. If this will be any consolation to you, there were again more than 400 applicants for the award. So take pride in knowing that for the 4th year in a row, you were considered good enough to be one of the 5 finalists, a remarkable achievement, or at least record, I think. I shout, God damn it, and slam the manuscript on the receptionist's desk and keep slamming it and shouting, God damn it, God damn it. What the hell stopped you from giving me the prize this year? Because who'd you give it to? And who'd you give it to last year and the years before that? Do you remember? Does anyone here remember? What are some of the names of their books then? Why do they even have to be dragged down here? when you could have just used your brains for a change and mailed me the news. And I throw the manuscript across the room, its pages spilling over most of the people sitting on the couches and chairs. Some of them leap up and snap at the pages before they land on the floor. Others grab the pages off the floor and read them, saying, "Hey, this is pretty good." "You mean pretty damn awful. It's stupid, funny, makes no sense. What the heck's this passage supposed to mean? He's got to be kidding himself. No, he should have won. You may never have entered. Christ, if he had taken the first prize and you announced it, your whole company would have been disgraced and laughed out of the publishing business and maybe even financially ruined. Why don't you look at my manuscript for next year's contest if you can't publish it sooner?" And several of them give Whitehead their manuscripts. He piles the manuscripts on the desk and says to me, "Listen, don't get so excited. If this will be any consolation to you," and I should have told you this before I broke the other news to you, "you did take first prize in the Scarf Design Award this year, which entitles you to a $30 check and a mention in the Scarf Designer's News." He gives me the check and holds up a 6-foot scarf for everyone to see. It's all stripes, but bright stripes of 6 different colors and with different colored fringes at the ends of it. Not a bad design, but not what I had in mind for a first prize today. I take the scarf, stick the check between my teeth and rip it in two, and spit the other pieces out, and grab a bud vase off the desk and shout, "Idiots! This scarf and check aren't what I came down here for either," and throw the vase to the floor. It smashes, pieces going everywhere, one into the dog's rear leg. It yelps, jumps, and limps around the room as it cries. The receptionist runs over to me and says, "Before, I could have understood your outburst and rage, but injuring that defenseless dog has gone too far," and she shoves me with both hands, and I fall over a chair to the floor. She edges back, shouting, "Don't kick me! Don't beat me! Get him away from me!" The dog's still limping around the room and crying. "That'll be enough of that," Whitehead says to me, and to the others, "What about this dog? Whose is it?" "Not mine," my agent says, leaving. "Not mine either," some of the others say. "Of course," he says, "not yours, his, hers, the receptionist, or anyone's. Then what was it doing here in the first place? And what are you going to do about it now?" looking at me. "Okay," I say. "I'm the one responsible for the broken glass, so I'll look after him, even if he isn't my dog." I put the scarf around my neck, pick up the dog, and carry him out of the room, take the elevator down, and look on the building's register for a vet. There is none, so I go outside on Fifth Avenue and stop one of the hundreds of people on the sidewalk and ask if she knows where I can find a vet around here. "For your dog?" And I say, "Yes, for this dog, though he isn't mine." And she says, "Go east on 53rd, then second building on your left after you pass the Pocket Park." The vet's office is on the first floor of a brownstone. I go in, set the dog down, and say to the nurse, "He has a sliver of glass in his rear right leg. Could you have the doctor remove it? I'm not the owner, but I'll take care of the cost." "That'll be $60, and I give it. And she says, "We're a little crowded in here, so can you wait outside?" I look around and see all the seats are taken by people with pets on their laps and in carriers, and one guy with a parrot on his shoulder, and I go outside. The nurse opens the front door an hour later, and the dog comes out with a bandage around his neck. He seems to be walking all right. "Good, you're much better," I say. I tie the scarf around his neck as a leash, walk him back to the publishing house, take the scarf off, and leave him with the receptionist. She doesn't look up, continues typing. The dog falls asleep beside her on the floor. I go home. My mother and sister are there, and I tell them what happened to me today. The agent's call, the publishing house, my letdown, and how mad I got, and the dog and bud vase and consolation prize, and I hold up the scarf. "That's my scarf," my sister says. "The one I designed and knitted myself. I've been looking all over for it. How come you took credit for it when I should have been the one who entered the contest and won?" "What are you talking about?" I say. "I never entered this scarf in any contest." But she grabs it from me and calls the publishing house and says, "Whitehead, give me that chief man, Whitehead." When he gets on the phone, she says, "Look, my brother before is a cheat, an out-and-out lying fraud. He didn't design that first prize scarf or even knit it. I did, and I'm coming right down there to get all the publicity I can get out of winning that contest, and also the $30 check. Some people might think they can't use the money, but baby, I sure can." That's it. Thank you.